What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome to my Forma building guide for this month's Hall of Forms featuring legendary Seliph, legendary Sigurd, and Deirdre, and also Arthur. And this is the first time we've got 3 legendary units in a Hall of Forms. And the skills are going to be up to the Emblem Sachiko banner, so the very coveted Breath of Life 4 is in Hall of Forms now, and we also have Odd Defense Wave and Resonance, which is going to be useful in this batch. So let's start with legendary Seliph, who a lot of people are going to be trying to get. So he got a fantastic weapon refine and remix last year to his virtuous tier thing. So he does get +2 resistance out of this weapon, and he also inflicts -6 attack and defense debuff on the foe. He does get true damage based on 15% of his attack, and then he gets null counter disrupt, which is not really seen on cavalry units. So this allows him to function as a much better tank, and he also heals up 8 HP per hit in the combat. And then for the refine effect, he gets another round of -5 attack and defense debuff on the foe, and he gets pierceable damage reduction against the tome and staff units. Against them, it is going to be 80% damage reduction, and otherwise it is going to be 40% damage reduction. So back when he got the remix and refine, this was actually really amazing, but since then we have got so much damage reduction piercing that he is going to be kind of struggling, as he doesn't really have the unpierceable or the flat damage reduction. And then he also gets the miracle effect if he's within 3 spaces of an ally, and if it's going to be in the enemy phase, and if he's got the HP. So this is a non-special miracle, which means that this is going to be getting completely nullified by Fatal Smoke 4, or even the null miracle effect of Fallen Julia. And this miracle effect is going to be once per turn, and then he got a remix to his Holy War's End. So this inflicts -5 attack and defense debuff on the foe. It gives him guaranteed follow-up attack and follow-up denial, which doesn't really mean much nowadays because of a lot of the null follow-up. And then he gets the enemy phase brave effect, which is really good for a tanky cavalier with null counter disrupt and with the healing that he has got. And he can have a lot of attack and defense debuffs on the foe. So like I said, this was a really strong refine and remix, but now we do have stuff like Emblem Ike. But even right now, he can function as a decent unit with the tools that he has gotten, and you could also use him in Arena if you're trying to merge him up. He is going to be lacking some of the tools which many of the Cavaliers have, like Canto and stuff, so you're mainly going to be enemy facing with him, and I really like Seliph, so I think I'm going to be picking him up. And if you're going to be doing the same, then you should try and get No Quarter as the special. Now even though Emblem Marth, is going to be having that penalty on your brave effect, it is still worth having so that you could have a 2 cooldown No Quarter, and this is the best special that you should be getting. For slot A, there are not a lot of options. Attack Defense Excel is not in yet, so Fire Flood Boost is pretty much going to be there for giving you the extra bulk and the extra HP. And the Guard effect is also nice for an enemy phase Cavalier. You could also try and get Earth Fire Boost if you want to, and Distant Defense Res Solo also works out if you don't want to run Distant Counter Melee Sacred Seal, but honestly I prefer having Fire Flood Boost 3 in the slot A. And then you could also get Neotrace 4, like Speed Defense Neotrace, just for fun, because there's no universe that you're going to be using that over Holy War's End, but still if you want to get the value, then it is something you could try and do. And Breath of Life 4 is the skill which makes him a lot better as a tank, as it does for a lot of the other tanks as well. So this is going to be your way of countering the pre-combat damage and the AoE specials, and it also has good synergy with the miracle effect that he has got. So it pretty much allows him to stay in the range of his miracle effect. So the healing is really good on top of the healing that he gets out of his weapon. And you could also run Odd Defense Wave actually, and this can work out if you give him the special charges status, and if in the future he wants to run a different emblem effect. Alarm Attack Defense was also a decent option when we didn't have Breath of Life 4. So I guess you could try and get that if you really want to get Canto for something like Arena usage. Panic Smoke and Fatal Smoke are also the options if you get really unlucky, and the other options which I've mentioned don't really appear for you. Legendary Sigurd recently got a weapon refine, and he was absolutely insane and oppressive when he came out. I mean, he is the reason why we have got Safety Fence as a structure in Aetheroid's offense. So he has got his weapon Hallowed Tear Thing, which does have -1 special cooldown, and with the weapon refine he's able to get +5 to all of his stats. The guaranteed follow-up attack, which does help a slow cavalier like him, and he also gets 40% damage reduction from foes' first attacks, including the brave hits. So this is completely pierceable damage reduction, and then he also heals up 7 HP after the combat. He does get the Neotrace effect out of this refine. I kind of wish that this was distant traveled, because that would have been much better, like Brave Alphonse for example, but I guess Sigurd is still paying for his sins. And then he has got the Clash effect, which allows him to get extra stats in the combat, and true damage based on 15% of his attack, just like his son Seliph. And he has got the dull attack defense in the combat, so you don't have to run lull attack defense in his slot B, and he's just going to be ignoring any kind of visible buffs, and that is actually helpful for arena usage. Then he has got Holy Knight Aura too, which is going to be giving you the damage based on 30% of his attack, and of course this gives you the +1 movement and also the new 40% damage reduction on the first attack in the player phase status. So we did see this before on Rion Lucina, and now after triggering his special, he's able to give his allies the +6 attack and defense buff, the +1 movement, and the damage reduction status. And this is given even if Sigurd dies, so in either raid's defense he could try and function, but nowadays we have got a lot of stall effects and +1 movement doesn't really hit the same as when he came out, and now we have just got so much warping. So even though he didn't get the best treatment for his remix and refine, he can still pack a punch in the player phase, and he's still a 4 movement cavalier with Kanto in his weapon. So that is always helpful for arena usage, and if you're trying to get some new skills, then you could try and get No Quarter as the special just for fun if you want to get an alternative premium special, but you're always going to be using Holy Knight Aura for its +1 movement. And then for the slot A, Attack Speed XL is the best option. Unfortunately, Attack Defense XL is not there, but he still wants to have an XL scale because this gives you the flat damage reduction in the player phase and also in the enemy phase against the enemy specials. And he does have the 4 movement, so this helps him a lot with the survival. So it doesn't matter if this is the speed variant, he would still like to have it. And for slot B, you could try and run Flow Guard, which is also another effect to help him survive. And this does have the unconditional scowl effect in the player phase, and this allows Sigurd to get that guard effect and pretty much be annoying. And it is going to be a bit counterintuitive at times with the XL skill wanting the enemy to trigger a special and then Flow Guard giving you the scowl, but I think overall it works out because you're still going to be taking less damage, which should be the aim at the end of the day. Assassin Strike is also a pretty good option that you could have in his slot B for the player phase usage. Pre-combat damage has fallen off a bit, but Assassin Strike still gives you even more true damage, which can help you hit harder. And Potent can actually be run at max investment because his speed is not the worst at those kinds of investments. So I know that many people are probably going to be trying to get this skill if they have Plus and Sigurd over Flow Guard, and Potent can give you that potent follow-up attack which can help you trigger your special, especially when you're not going to be running Quick Impulse. And speaking of that, Odd Defense Wave is going to be a really nice premium option that you can try and get, and his defense is really high, so he's easily able to get the tempo effect, which allows him to trigger his Holy Knight Aura without the use of Quick Impulse, which is a low scoring Sacred Seal in Arena. So you could try and run this, and you also get the guard effect out of Flow Guard, so the tempo scale also has good synergy with that. But if you want to set up the Pathfinder for your allies, then you could try and run Defense for Smoke 3, and Fatal Smoke 4 is going to be a natural progression for him if you are trying to get the Null Miracle effect. But I really like Odd Defense Wave, and overall this build is really expensive to get with the premium units, and in this Holoforms he's pretty much able to have his perfect build, so that is definitely optimal. Legendary Deidre is the second non-remixed legendary unit that we've got in Holoforms after Legendary Sida, and she is a blue infantry mage, and this weapon gives her the effective damage against the dragons, and it also has minus on special cooldown. And if she's within 3 spaces of an ally, she's able to inflict them with -6 attack and resistance debuff, and she also gets the guaranteed follow-up attack, and she disables any kind of adaptive damage or the Hexblade effect of the enemy, so she's gonna be just making them target her resistance, which is a lot higher, and that is why it has got a resistance check, and depending on the resistance difference, she's gonna be able to inflict even more penalty on foes' attack and resistance. So this can work out with her high visible resistance, and that's why she comes with Still Water, which you can definitely try and upgrade. And then she's got her special Circlet of Balance, and this is definitely a balance special. So this is going to be giving you Miracle if the special is ready or triggered during the combat, or if Deirdre initiates combat, or if the foe's range is 2. And this is once per map, and it does not stack. So this is considered a non-special Miracle effect despite it being a special, which means that it is going to be getting nullified by Fatal Smoke 4 and Null Miracle. And unfortunately for Deirdre, this is easily one of the worst miracles that we have got in the game because this is once per map. She cannot loop this compared to a lot of the other miracle effects that we've got. And even on this banner, we have got Legendary Seliph with his miracle that is once per turn. So once per map is kind of limiting, but hopefully this can change when she gets a remix and refine, which is really far away in early 2026. So when she came out, she definitely had a niche, and I remember facing her quite a lot in Summoner Duels S, but with the time we just had a lot of supportive mage nukes. But even now she can be decent with the new tools that we have got with deploy skills. So you can try and get Flare as the alternative premium option for the special, because if Null Miracle gets really common, then you could try and run Flare. And Crystalline Water is the best slot A skill for her because she's trying to stack up her visible resistance for her preferred weapon, and it also helps with deploying. You could also try and get attack resistance finish if you get unlucky, so that is also an option. And at higher investments you can definitely get away with it as she's going to be having higher resistance. And for slot B, you basically want to get something that can pierce the damage reduction of the enemy. Attack resistance tempo is really good because it allows you to trigger her preferred special, and it also gives you 50% damage reduction piercing. But you could also try and get resonance, which can work out with her if you give the squad a sacred seal to her. And magical null follow-up is going to be there as an honorable mention in case you get unlucky. And special spiral 4 can also work out if you want to get the full damage reduction piercing. Now for slot C, I think that a ploy skill is easily the best on her, and she does share the same season as Legendary Robin, so disabling his Grand strategy is actually going to be helpful for arena usage. But if you want to loop her special with Temples 4, then it is going to be an option. And Breath of Life could be run even though her miracle, cannot be looped because it's once per map. But with a remix and refine, that could change. So maybe for the future investment, you could try and get this if you already have Ploy or Temples 4 on her. It's worth keeping in mind that you should not be running Breath of Life 4 if you're going to be picking Resonance for her slot B, because it doesn't really have the good synergy with it, and it goes against what Resonance is trying to do, so definitely watch out for that. New lore for Jugdrawl has dropped, and Sigurd and Deirdre have adopted Arthur into their family, so he is here as the Green Infantry Mage with Grand Vulture Plus. He came out at a really unfortunate time when, even as a 5-star unit, he didn't really get a preferred weapon. If he came out today, then he would probably have a preferred weapon, and that would be much better because he's stuck with this kind of weapon which has foe penalty doubler, but his stats are going to be getting outclassed by his mother, T-Time Tail 2, who is available in the Grail pool. So only people that are big Arthur fans are going to be trying to pick this up, and he can only get Arcane Caliburnus as his weapon, so T-Time Set Plus is going to be the best weapon that you could try and get in this Hall of Forms, and it does give you the half null follow-up and also the Canto 1 effect, so that is really good for an inhittable weapon. And later on you could try and give him Arcane Caliburnus, and this build is going to be working perfectly fine with it. You could also run Flare as the special, which is the definitive Infantry Mate special, and you could also get attack speed finish for getting more healing and stacking up the true damage with Resonance. And Resonance is going to be a pretty nice slot B skill that you could run for getting 60% damage reduction piercing, and he does have a lot of HP even at +1 merge to easily make use of this. And if you get Resonance, then in the future if we get some kind of fast Arcane Green Tome that has got null follow-up built up, it is not going to be having overlap with it. So I'm kind of thinking in the future, if you're trying to pick up Arthur in this Hall of Forms, and Temples 4 could be run for the same reason which I said before. It is not going to be overlapping if you're going to be giving him Arcane Caliburnus, and it is going to be helping you trigger Flare a lot easily. The next month we're going to be getting a Thracia Hall of Forms, and the pool of this game isn't really all that big, and only the red color has got a lot of options, and from there I think Legendary Nana is going to be confirmed because she's getting a run next month, so she's probably going to be the Legendary unit of this batch. Rion Reinhardt, Tina, Safi could appear, and even though they're breaking the precedents, Mycen already did that. So for Thracia pool, I think if they want to make a good Hall of Forms batch, then they would have to do that. And that's why I'm expecting Legendary Nana and also Rearmed Reinhardt, and he's present in the Divine Codes, and they have run Rearmed Alfred, so they can do the Rearmed units again in Hall of Forms. And I think that Ascended set could also happen. They haven't really done any kind of Ascended unit before in Hall of Forms, so the precedence is not really there. But he is also in Divine Codes, and there are not a lot of options that they could pick from. So Set is still one of the better ones as an AoE nuke. And then between Tina and Safi, they're going to be picking up one of the healers, or they could just run August if they want to troll us. but I think that Safi has more chances because I don't think that they're gonna be giving Tina on a Hall of Forms badge like this, because she's a lot better than Safi in my opinion. So this is the badge you can try and expect, and there's gonna be another Earth Legendary unit in Legendary Nana right after Legendary Seliph. So depending on your merge project goals, you could try and pick which unit you wanna invest in. I want to thank all of my YouTube members for the constant support, and you can click the link on the screen right now to check out my breakdown of Choose Your Legends 8, which we have just got, and make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because YouTube sub boxes are about as functional as Legendary Deidra's Miracle after it's used once in a map. So that's it, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day.